In this video, we're going to be discussing constructing circle graphs from other types of graphs. So we're going to start with a bar graph to a circle graph. So when creating a circle graph from another type of graph, it's still important to find the total amount of items for the data set. So let's look at an example. If we look at this graph, it's a bar graph comparing school lunch selections, and it says right above each bar the number it represents. So if we look at the top bar, 5, I'd say this bar is about 7. Salad is a little bit below 5, so that one's going to be 4. This one here is right past 10, so that's going to be 11. And this one here is right past 5, so that's going to be 6. So what is the total number of items eaten? So you're going to add them all together. 7 plus 4 plus 11 plus 6, which equals 28 items eaten. And remember that the total becomes the denominator. In the ratio for each item. So our first item is going to be chicken. Our second item is going to be salad. Our third item is going to be pizza. And our fourth item is going to be a sandwich. So, how many people chose chicken nuggets? 7. How many people chose salad? 4. How many people chose pizza? 11. And how many people chose sandwich? Was 6. If we write our fraction, it's going to be 7 over 28, 4 over 28, 11 over 28, and 6 over 28. And if you do the long division, which I recommend you do on a separate sheet of paper or on your desk if your teacher allows you to use markers, is you're going to do the long division. So remember, for 7 over 28, 7 goes inside, 28 goes outside. It's going to take a little bit of long division practice because you're going to have to add some zeros. But for the sake of time, I'm going to tell you that this one's 0.25. This one is 0.14. This one is 0.39. And this one's 0.21. Percentage, remember you move the decimal towards the percent sign. So this is 25%. This becomes 14%. This one becomes 39%. And this one is 21%. Now, some of those are not happy percentages, and that's okay. We can work with them. They're not percentages that are close to the ones that we've memorized. So the title for this is the same title that's going to be the same for the bar graph, so school lunch selection. So we're just going to write school lunch selection. And remember, when we're working with circle graphs, it's a little bit easier if you take your pencil very lightly and you draw those dotted lines, using a ruler preferably, to kind of give you some ideas for where everything's going to be. Look up at your percentages. Are any of them close to the 50, 75, 25, or 12.5? Well, this one is. Chicken nuggets is a perfect 25%, which is one of those L's. So this is going to be chicken nuggets right here. I'm going to put it over here. Chicken. And that's 25%. You can color it. All right, now we're starting to run into some trouble because we have 14%, 39%, and 21%. Well, let's think about this a little bit. 21% is almost 25%. Almost. Not quite though. So it's almost one of these perfect L's, but it's going to be a little bit short. So I'm going to take one of this bottom corner L right here, and I'm just going to cut it right beside where that line would go to be upright. And I'm going to call this the sandwiches. And that's going to be 21%. So I chose that one because it was just a little bit smaller than 25%, because 21 is just a little bit smaller than 25. Now, the next one that's close to one of the ones that we have memorized would be 14. 14 would be really close to 12.5. So really lightly with my pencil, I'm going to cut this in half to make those 12.5 slices, because I need a full corner to do it. And it's 14, so it's bigger than 12.5. So I'm going to look at this 12.5 here, and then I'm going to draw a line somewhere just a little bit bigger than 12.5, like right there. And that's going to be salad. And that represents 14%. And some of this you're just kind of estimating. It's not going to be 100% perfect, and that's okay. As long as it's close to what it should be, I'm okay with that. All right, and then the last one is 39%, which that's 25, and I would say that's close to 39%. So this is going to represent pizza. And that's 39%. So that's how you take a bar graph and turn it into a circle graph. All right, so let's look at another example. Let's take a circle graph and turn it into a bar graph now. So it says, Paul counted the number of each color of the 40 cereal pieces that he had in his bowl. The results are shown in the circle graph. Create a bar graph that could represent the same set of data. So it says, remember that percentages are a ratio out of 100. How many total pieces of cereal are there? There are 40 in the bowl. It tells you right here. In order to determine the number of pieces of cereal that represent each section, we need to turn the percent into a decimal. So it's actually working backwards. So instead of turning to percents, we're actually going to turn to decimals now. We then multiply the decimal times the total number of pieces of cereal. So this is going to take a little bit of math. So we're going to write the colors down. So I'm going to do yellow, blue, purple, green, orange, and red. I'm going to write all the percents. So yellow is 10%, blue is 20%, purple is 10, green is 10, orange is 25, and red is 25. Turn the percents to decimals. This is if I move the decimal point away from the percent sign twice. Cancel the percent sign. So this becomes 0.1, this becomes 0.2, 0.1, 0.1, 0.25, 0.25. So those weren't too difficult. Now you're multiplying by 40. 0.1 times 40. 0.2 times 40. 0.1 times 40. Because I'm turning it into 40 pieces, I need to figure out how many pieces of 40. Of means to multiply. And you're going to need to do this on a piece of scrap paper or on your desk with a marker, if your teacher allows that. And remember, when you multiply decimals, you're going to do 40 times 0.1. 1 times 0, 0. 1 times 4 is 4. 0 for place value, but really I don't need that because it's just zeros. 0, 0. Add them. 0, 4, 0. I have one space in right here for decimal, so decimal goes right there. So there's 4 pieces for that one. And then if I do 40 times 0.2, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 4 is 8. I don't need to do the other one because of zeros. One place right here. So move the decimal in, 1, so that's 8. I know this one's going to be 4 because I did it up here. This one's going to be 4 because I did it up there. And then 40 times 0.25, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 4 is 20, I don't know why I put that there. 20. 0 for place value. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 4 is 8. Add them. 0, 0, 8, 9, 10. 2 place values here, so move it over 2. So that's 10 for both of these. Now we need to actually draw the bar graph. And remember, we multiplied times 40 because I need to find out what percent of 40 is the pieces. Of means to multiply. So it says draw your bars. Remember, when drawing the bar graph, the bars do not touch each other. So then we need to give a graph the title. So purple's first. Purple is 4. So we're going to go up to 4. Remember, your bars aren't going to touch each other. You have to leave some space between them. Green is 4 as well. Orange is 10. Let me go up to 10. You see I'm leaving space between my bars. Red is 10. Yellow is 4. And blue is 8. Okay, give the graph a title. So this is cereal colors. Oops. And then label both axes. So the bottom axis represents colors. And then this axis over here represents the number of pieces. Okay, and that's how you take a circle graph and turn it into a bar graph. Make sure when you turn information from a circle graph to a bar graph, you have to turn the percent to a decimal and multiply by the total amount of pieces that you're looking at. So however many pieces they tell you you're looking at in the problem, you have to multiply your decimal from your percent times your pieces to figure out how many actual pieces there are. You can't use the percentages from the circle graph. That's the biggest mistake that students make, is they'll just say, oh, well, purple is 10%, that means there must be 10 pieces. That's if you were given 100 pieces, but in this problem we were only given 40.